Hello and welcome to 3 Wide. This week, the Verizon IndyCar Series was at Texas Motor Speedway for the DXC Technology 600. Overall, I feel like this was a better race than I was expecting, considering since Texas has changed its layout where turn 1 and 2 have less banking than turns 3 and 4, and the way the cars looked at Indianapolis, I thought this race was going to be more of a parade and kind of a little like the Phoenix race from last season where only like 4 or 5 cars finished on the lead lap. This race showed signs in the beginning of being a really good race where the leader wouldn't run away, where you could pull up on a person and make a pass if need be, but it was really hard, and you could defend on the person trying to pass you. Overall, I feel like there just needs to be minor tweaks to the Indy cars next time they come to Texas, and we'll get into one of the major reasons with the 3 bad things that came out of the DXC Technology 600. Number 1, the tire blisters. If we go back to last season, with the Firestone tires, IndyCar had a competition caution, I believe it was every 20 laps because of the tires. Now we fast forward 1 year, and what's one of the problems with this race? The tires. It seemed that everyone had blisters. Penske's had the worst blisters, as they've had usually throughout the past with the tires. But it seemed every car had huge problems with blisters, whether it be Sebastian Bourdais in a Honda or Simon Pagenaud with his Penske Chevy. But thankfully with these tire problems, we didn't have a competition caution every 20 laps and they just raced on. But now I feel like IndyCar needs to look into this, whether it's the Texas Motor Speedway or the Firestone tires or a combination of the two, to what is the huge problem with these tires for the next time that the Indy cars come back to Texas Motor Speedway. Number 2. The leader runs away. After in the daytime where it looked like the leader would not be able to run away, once the nighttime fell in the Texas Motor Speedway, the leader just ran away and no one could catch him. I feel like one of the huge factors that played into leader running away was this new layout at Texas Motor Speedway, where the turn 1 and 2 have less banking than 3 and 4. In this way, I don't think there will most likely ever be a second groove at Texas as long as they keep this layout. This I feel is a problem with the Texas Motor Speedway as just a whole, where every series that pretty much races there cannot get a second line going in turns 1 and 2, whether it be the Xfinity cars, the trucks, the Cup Series cars, or these Indy cars. I feel like Texas Motor Speedway made a huge mistake by changing the track layout, and more than likely we're going to look back on those Texas races where there were second grooves and wonder in a couple years, when can we get this back? And number 3, Wickens waits longer. After leading 31 laps, Robert Wickens looked like he'd be one of the strong contenders in this race. But then, with 77 laps to go, Robert Wickens was under Ed Carpenter, and Ed Carpenter said he shut the door, which then caused a wreck involving Wickens and Carpenter, taking Wickens out for the day. This seems to be a theme growing where Wickens is going to have a good car and can do something, and it just goes up in smoke. Whether it be St. Petersburg, where he looked like he was about to do a walk-off and win his first race in the Indy cars, but then Alexander Rossi bumped him out of the way, costing him the win there. Phoenix, he looked like he was on his way, but then strategy where Joseph Newgarden got new tires, ended up going by him and winning that race and costing Wickens another win. Overall, the more this happens to Wickens, the more I find myself rooting for the guy, and I feel a lot of people feel that way. So hopefully Wickens can get through this and win sooner rather than later. Now on to the 3 good things that came out of the race at Texas. Number 1, traffic battles. Later in this race, once the leader started to run away, it seemed that the traffic battles were ramping up, whether it be Simon Pagenaud and Alexander Rossi, or the gaggle of cars that led to the Will Power and Zachary Clayman DeMello wreck. I feel like there would have been better racing if the second groove would have worked, and if they could have made a second groove, but we know turn 1 and 2 are a little weird. But overall, with what the drivers had to work with, I believe they produced pretty decent racing for this Texas Motor Speedway, and hopefully it can only get better as the years go along. Number 2, Rossi roars again. After putting on one of the great shows in Indianapolis, passing what felt to be like 100 cars, Alexander Rossi was showing that he's strong on the ovals even more here at Texas. When he had a bad pit stop, he roared all the way back to 3rd and then started a battle with Simon Pagenaud. If the only way to watch these races was picking one driver's camera to watch from, I believe Alexander Rossi's camera would be above and away everyone's choice for the cameras as we've seen in these 2 oval races, the 2 higher speed oval races. Now next time when the IndyCar Series is a high speed oval in Pocono, I wonder what moves Alexander Rossi will be able to put on and wow the crowd. And number 3, Dixon does it again. After winning the first race in Detroit, after what seemed to be just a quiet season from Scott Dixon where he's had some good runs where he finished 2nd at the Indy GP and he had a podium finishing 3rd at the Indianapolis 500, Scott Dixon went out to show that he's one of the more dominant cars getting a win at Texas. Now with this championship seeming to be having a crazy amount of potential winners, where you have Will Power who won the Indy 500, Alexander Rossi who's had a really great season so far, Robert Wickens looked like he would be one of the strong contenders earlier in the season, Joseph Newgarden, who was defending champion, and Ryan Hunter-Reay, who won the second Detroit race last week. Now with Dixon getting his second win of the season, he's tied for the league lead in wins in the series with Joseph Newgarden, who's won twice at Barber, and he won at Phoenix, and Will Power, who swept the Indy races this year, winning the GP in the 500. Now we'll see if Dixon can keep this up and maybe be one of the guys vying for the championship when the Indy cars go to Sonoma at the end of the season. Now on to what to look ahead to June 24th at Road America for the Kohler Grand Prix. Number 1, Honda's Hall. Just in this race at Texas, 8 Hondas were in the top 9 positions. Now going into Road America, where it seems that the Chevys more than likely will be the better car, we'll see if Honda can keep up with the Chevys and maybe surprise them again and get a win here this year. Number 2, Dixon repeats. Last year at Road America, it was Scott Dixon who pulled off the win in his number 9 car. Now riding this huge wave of momentum where he won one of the races in Detroit and he just won at Texas, we'll see if Dixon can carry this on and get a win at Road America. And number 3, Penske looks for a step up. Last year, if you look at the results at Road America, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th were all the Penske cars. Now this year with Penske consolidating down to 3 teams with Pagenaud, Power, and Newgarden, we'll see if Penske can take that one step up and maybe even sweep the podium at Road America this time around. And that'll do it for 3 Wide. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.